Hey, welcome Soumya. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our first Q webinar by the Q community. It's on how to career shift from manual to automation. About Q community, a Q community aims to build and serve a community of test automation enthusiasts with a prime objective to find, nurture ways to transform test automation to be simpler, more reliable, and sustainable for the real world. I'm your host, Josly Andrades, product evangelist at XLQ. And with me, we have our guest, Soumya Mukherjee. Soumya is engineering lead at Apple. About Soumya, very popular in the testing community. Most of us have heard of a lot of work he has done for the community. So I'm really thankful to have him here. Almost 15 years of experience, building a lot of tools, worked on various tech stacks. Uh, you can see a lot of plugins he has created as well. His LinkedIn profile is totally filled with all the great work he has done. So thank you, Soumya, for that. Soumya loves to help others. He's very active in the community, and likes solving complex problems and is passionate about sharing his experiences, failures, and success stories with everyone. He's authored a lot of books as well. I'm sure this webinar is going to be really exciting for anyone in their upskilling journey and wanting to get into automation and wanting to excel into automation. So let's go in for the ride. Welcome, Soumya. The stage is yours.
Uh, Thank you, Josly, and thank you for a wonderful introduction. I'm not sure whether I'm actually, like doing the right things or not, but I try my level best as much as I can. And thank you very much for giving the opportunity to speak on this webinar. Um, you know, uh, let's kickstart this. So, you know, uh, l- l- already Josly has given an introduction about me. I'll not go ahead and introduce myself again. But today I'm going to speak on a very interesting topic, and uh, I had been into this industry from last 15, 16 years now, and I started my career as a developer, then moved to QA. People do tell me that I made a mistake, but I think I made a sweet mistake here. So, but interestingly, the question that I have heard 15 years back, where I want to, like a person wants to move from manual to automation, that question still possesses after 15, 16 years. So, industry has not changed. Um, and I'll talk about it, why it has not changed, and what are the right things that we should do to actually move from manual to automation. So I will basically connect this session with what is the expectation of this industry and how it is. um, right now at Apple, I basically manage the engineering piece, the test engineering piece, DevOps, and the data architecture. I do a lot of quality projects, but this session is not about tools. So let's deep dive in and see how it is. You can post all your queries, questions in the chat, and take it later in the session. I'll pause a bit and I'll take questions and like that. So let's deep dive. I hope you can see my screen. You can hear me. Okay, so first of first of all, what are the common questions that the folks ask? And these questions are generic in nature, and a lot of people ask the same set of questions. I probably have mentored more than 5K, 6K people now, and they ask the same questions to me. So it's not new. So I will go through some of the questions that folks ask. I will also go through some of the mistakes that people do in the transition, if they want to do the transition. And third thing is that what are the key things that we should do to win. Okay, so these are the three steps that we would take for this particular webinar today. Most interestingly, I will not touch the tools part. And one of the most important thing which I wanted to tell you guys, whoever is looking from whoever wants to transition from manual to automation, I believe that um, it is never a capability problem. Like, all the people in this world are capable enough to do what they want to do. Okay, but it is all about motivation, opportunity, and I would say, fear that drives a lot of things in our life. And most of you who may not be transitioning, or who, like, most of the people are in a fear transitioning from manual to automation because they fear failure. Some may not get motivation to at all to do it because they are very happy with what they are doing. And uh, uh, and believe me, that's a curse these days in the industry, that you stick in onto one single thing. um, and obviously there's an opportunity challenges, that people would get. So we will talk about the common questions now. So the first question that people always ask me, that, I do not know coding, is coding necessary? um, and we will go through, why it is necessary, and why you should know coding, and but what I wanted to tell you here is that um, automation is not about automating a browser app, or a mobile app, or a API, or a database check. It is not about coding at all. um, One thing that you need to understand, that that you can also automate a process in your organization. You would see something which is taking time, and you would like to automate it and see, whether the things are getting efficient. So what we basically try to do is automate anything that is taking time. And be it your testing, be it process, be it anything. So it's always not about coding. We need to think and see the larger picture as to why do we want to do this. So that's very important. Second question that people always ask me is that I want to shift job, but companies are asking automation. This is the common problem that people have, that people want to shift jobs because of, better remuneration or opportunity or whatever it is. And they obviously the other company would, ask automation because that's an ask for an hour. But most of the people come to me and ask that, I want to shift job, what should I do? Believe me, if this is the attitude that we would have, it is very difficult sometimes, because you would get the short term, you will get what you want in the short term, but in the long term it becomes a challenge, because while you would do this and go to the next company, you would see that there is a lot of competition that you would get in the organization, and then you have to be fighting with them, or collaborating with them. So it's little tougher. So I would always suggest people to do the right thing first, and then see, what you want to do. I did it in my career, wherein I always focused on the basics first, and then I always see, what are the different opportunities that I can get. Now, being in QA, you can go into a lot of different areas. I will not discuss in this particular webinar because this is not about that. But there are different avenues that you can still go ahead and try your hands on if you are a QA. The third problem statement that, or the question that people ask me is that my company do not possess opportunity. So first of all, please do not wait for the opportunity. Okay, nobody will give you that opportunity. Nobody will give you an opportunity um, uh, to succeed in your life, right? We have studied in our college, we have studied in our school. Nobody have actually given our opportunity to pass the exam, right? We have to always write the exam to pass the exam. So try to seek opportunity into organization. Like, for an example, let's assume that I am right now um, doing QA, and it's manual. And believe me, whoever right now is in the forum, believe me, manual is not going to end. But we are optimizing the process of QA. That is the reason you would see that the lesser jobs of manual, but manual is not going to end. If you look at the cycle, okay, we started with manual. So when I started my career and Joskia started a career, right, we were all manual folks. Okay. But then what happens is like, manual was 100%. Then came the automation. So people started talking about automation. This 15 years, what happens? 80% is now automation, 20% is still manual, right? Now the third wave is coming. It's not Corona wave, but this third wave is coming, which is something like we call as machine learning, right? Everybody is so enthusiastic about machine learning. We'll talk about in some other webinar about how you can apply machine learning in QA. But now that is taking stage. So now what would happen is that at 80% automation, machine learning will start taking. That's the reason you would see everybody in this world right now, if you open LinkedIn or Facebook, any channel, everybody wants to do machine learning, everybody wants to do data science, because that is the area. So 20% will still shrink, probably goes to 10%. Automation will shrink from 80% to probably 60%. And then the rest of the 30% would go to the machine learning piece. So do not wait for the opportunity. Try, keep on learning the things so that you can fit into this particular bracket. The fourth question that people ask me always is that some of my team members are automating, but I am still told by my manager that you need to manage the manual. Good. Uh, why I said good is because you would unlearn the domain knowledge, okay, and manual people will have more domain knowledge compared to the automation, and I may be wrong, but in general what I've seen is that manual people knows more about it, because automation people would only think about coding and not about the application more often. So in this particular thing, what I would suggest is that you do your own R&D, your own POCs in your projects, and try to see how we can apply the things, and start learning about it. Like I'm sure in this COVID, we are all working from home, and everybody has learned to sweep and broom. Sweep and I'm not getting that word, but we all learned to do our household work and everything, right? So we figure out. So from the childhood, we have figured out the things, and you also need to figure out, how you would like to possess this particular skill. The last one, and there are many questions, and these are the top questions that I picked up, is that there is so much to learn, where to start. And I agree to that. People, if you go to LinkedIn or any social network, people will talk about UI, API, database, data engineering, security, performance, too much things like to learn. In this particular webinar, I'll tell you that where to start and how you can move into the other areas of QA. But I agree, if you go to the social media, you would get lots of information. Too confusing. A lot of people will only talk about tools. They will not talk about why they want to do it, how you can scale it, how you can optimize it. Nobody will talk about it. You will all talk about tools. 15 years back, people were talking about QDP, Windrunner, all those things, and then Selenium came into the picture. Everybody's talking Selenium from last 10 years or so, and still people are talking about Selenium, and they still make those tutorials and all. Does not make any sense. A lot ample of data which is available on the internet, and you can mine it. So these are some of the common questions that people ask. Here I pause. And do we have any questions here, or do you think that I can take up something?
So, Soumya, there is something on the Q&A, and probably you might want to take it at the end. It's on
No
how to put lights on machine learning. So probably we could take that at the end.
Sure.
I hope you'll be covering coding, how to tips to start coding from basics to advanced, right?
Yes, I would do that. Yes.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Awesome. So I hope it's getting interesting. These are the common challenges that people face. Now, the next part, what are the common mistakes that folks do? Okay. So one is the problem statement that I can't do this, I can do that, I do not have opportunity. Now, what are the mistakes that people do? So in order to solve those problems, people try to, take their own ways. and then gets trapped into the things. They can't scale much. They will know something, but they can't scale because they don't know what to do. So what are the common mistakes that folks do? First is what they think is that coding is automation. Okay, that's a myth. Okay, and I already have covered that. Why people always think that automation is always about coding. It's all about improvement, I would say. Okay, a macro that you would write probably, or a formula in Excel is also an automation. So right, so there's a lot of calculation that happens in Excel, and that's all automated because to save time and bring in efficiency in the team. So that's a myth. So stop taking that first. You need to start figuring out. So what people do is they don't figure out where they can save time. Now what happens in the projects when people would start working in and they're thinking only about coding and automation, they don't think about the value that they can bring in onto the project. Okay, so what happens is, like, in that particular thing, you know they will fall behind because somebody else is thinking about the product, somebody else is thinking about the process. But I would encourage people, go ahead and start putting their efforts onto the project and optimize it. So not figuring out where you can save time is one of the challenge or one of the mistakes that people do, because they think that coding is what all it is. The third mistake that people would do is that thinking about the amount of work rather starting. So I have seen people who would come to me and say that, Soumya, I want to learn automation, and but that if I learn Selenium, then I need to learn all this, and how would I automate? I don't have application. What happens, psychologically, uh, what we do as a human being is that we think about a problem and then we stack all the other problems over that problem. But believe me, we have to solve that problem first, before you actually go to the next problem. So stop doing that. In your projects also, don't think that you have to automate everything. Okay, so there are 50 pages, don't automate, right? 50 APIs, don't automate. Okay, you have to start doing a POC, show value, then take it forward. That's how the industry wants things to move. You need to show the value before you actually move ahead. The fourth mistake that people would do is that yeah, people would come to me and say that, Soumya, I want to learn frameworks from you. Okay, but I will ask some questions probably on the basic QA side or the basic automation side, and they can't answer. Please do not do this mistake that automation or it's something is not always about framework. It's about improvement, saving time, right? So even if you write a crude code which is saving time, is also automation, right? So, and then you can optimize it to make your life easier. Why is that so? Because you would need people to use your code and you want to review some of the things, and then the framework concept kicks in. So do not start directly, from that how frameworks are, what is the design pattern. Don't go into that. Please don't stop looking at those stuff as well. Look, understand the framework, what you want to use, read the documentation, read the architecture, because this is what is the need of the industry, and you should know the tool in and out before you actually can write the framework. Okay, should write the framework. So that is the ask that is required. Um, then the next one, that the common mistake that I've seen is that people look poor quality of videos of folks which do not give the complete context and only teach tools. Like, for an example, I come across a lot of people who post different videos of the tools, but they actually do not tell you that how you can scale the tool, or they won't tell you that what are the benefits of using that particular tool or the framework. They will not tell you about how you can integrate that tool with the other set of tools. They will not tell you that how you can expand that tool or contribute to that particular tool. They will just tell you how to use the tool, which does not make any sense, because you would know how to write a cycle, but then you would not know if you want to make it a motorcycle out of a cycle. You don't know how to do that because you actually do not know the internals of how the things work, right? So please stop looking at all videos, all sorts of videos on the internet. Okay, and I will tell you what to do. If I'm saying do not do this, then I'll tell you what to do, in place of this. One of the common mistake that people would also do is that they want to learn automation, but what they would do, they will join a certification course, which is the biggest mistake that you would do. Why is that so? Because I would not say, or say that certifications are wrong, or I will not say ill about any certification, but I would say that that's not the right approach if you want to learn automation. So you can join the course in order to certify your knowledge, but do not use it as a tool to start the automation. It does not help because it needs time, it needs practice, and certification directly concentrates on the certification part rather than enhancing the existing knowledge. Um, and the last mistake that people always do is not having a mentor. I did that mistake. I did not had any mentor. What I learned is I self-learned, but then when I met, my friends, and I started making mentors. I go to them and I ask a lot of questions if I do not get it. Till now, if I have any questions, I call them and I say that, okay, I have a question, can you please help me? Okay, so please have a mentor who can actually guide you, and that's about it. So these are all the mistakes. So yeah, so what's a winning formula? Let's see what's a winning formula here. Okay, can anybody tell me what is this in the chat if you can type? And how can I access chat? Can anybody tell me that?
When says ROI, we have Suyog saying mentoring,
Okay,
Sudha saying knowledge transition, Bridget saying mentoring, coaching,
right, absolutely. So this,
communication, something.
yes, so absolutely. So this is mentoring. Okay, so I wanted to emphasize more on the mentoring part here, and you would need somebody who can guide you. In our school, college, we would have teachers, professors to guide us how is the subject, how the subject is, and what are the benefits of studying this subject, and how we can apply it in your in complex problems. So somebody you would need to tell you, what needs to be done if at all, you are stuck. And once we start in the job, we never do that, but in our school, college, we'll always used to call our senior saying that, okay, how can I approach this problem, can you give me last year's the guide or something like that, right? So we used to always say, go to our seniors and all. What are they are mentors. They are telling you what needs to be done, like that. So yeah, so I want to emphasize on this. So the first winning formula is that you choose your mentor wisely. Okay, now I have seen people who would choose a mentor, who would say that, okay, I would follow this guy, okay, but that guy would only tell you for 1 2 3 4 steps, but then he will stop there because he does not have his own experience to tell you what you should do, next. So choose your mentor wisely. So what you should do is that you select folks from the community. So I'm not saying that you choose me, but I'm saying that you can choose. Let's assume that I choose Jocelyn, okay, as my mentor. What I would do is that I will study his profile and analyze that what they do, what he does, how his profile been, okay, in what all companies he worked, in what all projects he have worked. Do R&D on that guy, okay, and understand that whether he is the person who you would like to pair. Okay, see what are they publishing, how they are commenting, okay, and then reason. Okay, so pick a couple of people and then reason out, you know um, who's saying what. Okay, and if somebody's saying tools, thank you very much. Okay, tools are there, tools will help. Everybody can learn the tool, but it should be more than tool. It should be about scaling, it should be integration, it would be a lot of other things which actually requires a lot of knowledge other than tools. Okay, tools are just one part. Okay, then you connect with that person. Okay, so I connected with Jocelyn. Okay, and I said, and I basically have to tell him about my problems. Okay, I should not tell him about my symptoms. Like for an example, I'll tell him that, I want to start automation, but okay, so I want to start automation, but you know uh, I fear coding, or I don't know where to start, right? So I would specifically ask questions to the person, rather than saying that, there are so many tools, what to do. you know don't tell him about symptoms. Tell him about your actual problem, that I see my friend who knows 4 tools, but I don't know what should I do. All these questions, are right questions to your mentor. Okay. uh, or you're stuck, you have 4 different offers, and you want to choose one, and talk to the mentor and understand, what is his perspective. Then what I'll do is I'll seek advice and create a plan myself. So what I've seen is that a lot of people would not do this. Okay, they want their mentor to, you can request them to create a plan, but you should create a plan, and you should basically tell them that this is what I've created for myself. Do you think this is wise enough that we can follow? Or, and I want to have a regular connect. Okay. So the next one, what I will do is that, I will create a plan for myself, and I'll write that I will learn this list and this. Here is my checkpoint. Here's my milestone. Okay. And then I'll get it reviewed. The next thing what I'll do is I'll have a regular follow up. In my experience, what I've seen is that people would come to you, they want to learn, but they will drop off in between, and they will not inform also. Okay, don't do that. That would basically hamper your learning, and you will not be able to know. If you just want to make a connect, okay, that's fine. But then if you want to choose a mentor, and if you want mentor to advise you continuously, then please be in touch with that person and just do not vanish. What are the don'ts? Okay, and I tell this to everyone. And unfortunately, I get a lot of requests directly, which is not, I don't want mentorship, but you just refer me in some company, or you just refer me in some of your team, or can you introduce me to some. Don't do that. Okay, if you're connecting to some people, and you think that they can be mentors, don't start asking for their job. Please don't do that. Okay. And please refrain from people who just want to create their own brand. Okay, there are folks in this industry who just want to build their own brand, who would speak something, but they will not be interested in mentoring. Okay, so don't go to them. Okay, they will not help you. They'll just they will just mention something, but they'll not help. Okay, so these are some of the steps which will help you to choose your mentor. Okay. uh, is very important. Now, if you do not need a mentor, okay, and you are smarter, you are brave, and you are stronger, okay, then what you should do? Okay. So first of all, what you should do is that you go to your project, any project that you work, um, or you look into your group and see what are the projects that are running, and find out the areas of the project that you can save time. I always tell this to people, that find out the areas where you can save time. It can be writing a utility, it can be writing an automation pack for the product, or it can be let's assume that you want to connect to Jira APIs and want to consolidate all the reports. You can bring all the data in. That's also automation. So find out certain things, where you can save time. Then what you should do is that you have to learn one programming language. Okay. Why is that so? In order to do the transition and better transition, because obviously one of the motive that you would also have is the jobs, or look for better opportunity in the organization, right? You have to know coding. Is only because I would not say I would say that, if you learn coding, it is helpful because it increases your logic and thinking power of analyzing a problem and solving them. So look at it that way. Okay, so learn one programming language, And one of the problems that I see here, and I've written in the bottom is that, what to choose, how to choose a programming language. People ask me a question that somewhere there is this Python, Java, PHP, Perl, Ruby, .NET, which language to choose, which is the best I can, and I can choose from, because I want to win. I want to be first in the industry. Which language should I choose? It's a simple answer. Whatever language your current organization is using, please choose that programming language. Why is that so? Because let's assume that you want to switch job. You have to show relevant experience. You have to understand the problem statements that are happening in your organization in order in and you want, if say one you want to review a code, and let's assume it's in Java and you learn Python, you may not be able to understand, which all packages and classes that the people have used. So simple answer is that choose a programming language which your current organization uses, and then what you do is that you start doing some problems, okay, in order to increase your logic. And please do not compete with somebody else that you know that he is doing better. I should do better. You will do better once you know the subject. Okay, you will do better. Let's assume that I don't know cooking, and I want to learn cooking, so I can't be better on day one, right? When I start cooking, I practice, then I'll make good food, right? So that's a formula. Take this example from your life, from your life, and then you use it in your career. So learn DS and algo. That's the need of the hour right now, in order to make switches, in order to go one level up. Like for an example, you're doing automation of UI, but now you want to do data automation. Like that means you want to talk to Hadoop, Teradata, all these big data technologies. And you want to bring data and you want to compare. Let's assume this use case. Then what you should do? Then you should know, which algorithm you would use, which programming language you should use, how you can optimize things, like that. So DS and algo will help you. So don't fear, but go to hacker or lead code. They're free. You can go through the simple problems first, do the medium ones and the complex ones, and it will bring a lot of confidence in you, because when the code runs, it gives you immense happiness. Okay, and I whoever is automating, they would know this. Okay. The third thing that you should do is that you should start with one framework. Okay, when I say framework, it can be tool, framework, whatever I mean to say, like all works the same way. So I tell this to everyone, okay, who comes to me and say that I want to learn automation. Automation is automation basics depends on only four things, and they sit on those four things. One is the object. So if I want to, let's assume that I want to do a GUI application automation, I need to find an object on which I want to do, I want to perform something. So let's assume there's a button, I want to click on it, right? And it would go to the next page. And likewise, I need to find out an object. Now, how do I find an object? I should know the locator. So how do I locate that object on the page? So I need to understand what is the locators. And that locator has to be unique. Obviously, if there are two buttons with the same details, manually you would get confused, right? If both the buttons say save as, you don't know which one to click, right? So tool is like a baby. It doesn't know, which one to click. So you need to tell him that which locator, which object you want to click. So you need to find locator. So ID, name, XPath, link text, whatever. There's so many locators. Okay. So object, locator, and obviously when you identify locator, you need to perform an event. That means you need to click, set, and select. All these are events. And then when you're setting something, you need a data. So and you pick up any tool, it does the same thing. You pick up Selenium, you pick up QTP, you pick up Cypress, you pick up WebDriver IO, you pick up Protractor. Everybody would do the same thing. This is the basic of automation. Okay. And if you find out these four things, you can automate, and you can start automating from today. Okay, and it's that easy. Okay. And please stop looking at poor quality videos. Okay, and your mentor would say that tell you that which videos to see, which one not to, right? Please do not jump onto tools that somebody is using Selenium, I should go on look into Selenium. Somebody is teaching Jenkins, I should go into Jenkins. You should understand, why do you want to learn, first of all, and start reading the documentation. It will give you, like, we have lost that touch of reading documentation. I've not seen people, looking at documentation. They just Google it. They just want to Google it. But think about a situation where Google is not there. We had been into from that era where Google was not that efficient, right? Josh Lee would agree with me on that. And we had to literally look into the books and see, and understand, the API, and how it all works, and then we have to work. So don't do that. Yeah. And one of the things that people don't do this is reason. If you look at video, reason, that, why is it like this, why that guy has said like this, how it can be used in my use case. There are so many things, so many why questions that you should ask. Whether this is applicable to my project, no, it is not. Then okay, what is applicable? List down all the problem statements in your project, and then try to address them. So find out a problem statement. I hope I'm doing good on time. Right. So the next thing what you should do is that you connect to a community. Okay. Why is that so? If you connect to a community, like for an example, Q community. So Josley heads Q community, and he's bringing on to this webinar now. 50, 100 people are joining this, right? And understanding the perspective. I'm just bringing out the perspective, right? I'm not teaching automation here. I'm just bringing out the perspective. So he will bridge your knowledge with the person who has the knowledge, right? And that's how community helps you. And the other community which I have is the test tribe, and then the test chat. There's so many communities, right, which are there. But as I said, choose wisely. Okay, what are they posting? How they are posting? How is the content coming up? Okay, all these things. And we do this, right? From our school, right? I believe, and in college also, we do not take we never took all the reference book that is there in the shop, right? We never did that, right? What we did was that you give me, uh, you know, Tenenbaum one book, okay? That's the best book, okay? And I just want to read DS Algo, okay? So give me this book. This is the best book. So do that, okay? We as soon as we get into a job, we forget that, but don't forget it, okay? Please don't do that. You have to have that mindset that we had in our college and school. Okay. Okay. And next one, what you should do is that you can approach people on LinkedIn. And believe me, people are really, really helpful. Okay. In LinkedIn, I have approached so many people, and so many people have come across, like Josley, I've never met, Brijesh, I've never met. Obviously I met them. I'm saying that, when I started, I never met them, but through communities only we got in touch, and now we are so good friends. Okay. So and if I have a question, I can anytime go to these people and say that, okay, I have a problem, can you help me to solve it? And they're always ready. So people are good on LinkedIn, and from whom you can learn. Okay. Um Not I would say this is the most important. Practice makes you perfect. Okay. And I don't know, like, and I'm taking a weird example here, that I want to make roti. If I make roti, it is never round. Okay, the first time. Then when I practice, it starts becoming round. So I become more efficient in the thing. So that's the whole thing. So select a problem, okay, and then do it. So for example, I want to basically do like, I want to write a program for addition. Let's assume that addition would have so many variations. I'll pass on the number, I'll not pass on the number, I'll pass on the float, I'll not pass on the, I'll pass on the fraction, a lot of things, right? So it's that way. So, and most importantly, what you should have is that, you should have the passion and the love about the work that you're doing. I've seen that, a lot of people will start cribbing onto their job and say that, this is not perfect, that is not perfect, I want this, I want that. but believe me, what's happening with you may be right. Okay, and start thinking about seeking that opportunity in your organization and wherever you work. So love your work. I really love what I do. And if you're successful, then please teach others. Please do not teach incorrect stuff. I've seen a lot of content on the internet which says that I've taught you a framework, but it's actually not a framework. It's just setting up a tool. Don't do that. Okay. You don't know what that means. If you know, I'm very happy that you come out and talk about it to other folks. But if you're successful, only then teach others. This is what I have. I can take any questions. Thank you very much. I hope that you would get some insights from this particular talk, and let's hope for the best. You can get in touch with me anytime. On I have my handles here. You can connect me anytime. And if I do not know that, I will connect you with somebody else who would know that, right? So that is over to you, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much, Soumya. I think it was really helpful. Thanks for sharing all of these key things. I hope everyone's enjoyed. We have 15 more minutes. We can take question answers. Soumya, do you want to go through them, or you want me to take it, ask you, and you can answer? How do you want to go?
Yes, if you can take that, it would be great.
Sure.
I am not able to open it right now.
Okay, cool. So I'll take it. So there's a question from Dhanlakshmi. Can you please put lights on how machine learning will take percentage from automation share?
So is this the problem specific to how to apply machine learning in automation? That's what the question is.
Dhanlakshmi, do you want to uh, speak it up? I can allow you to talk.
Yeah, sure, Jocelyn. Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Hello, thanks. It's a great session. I had, it was regarding when you're in this beginning, you have mentioned like how manual was having share of, let's say, 80%, automation goes up, and automation and it will like machine learning will take that share.
Okay.
Maybe I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So right. So yes, I understand that. So let's assume that my automation is running, and the basic case study or problem here is that how can I identify my test cases automatically? Okay. Now, how would you do that? You would need certain data. Now, what kind of data that you need? One is your execution data. Second is your application log data. Third, your what are the test cases that you're running? What is the code coverage that you're getting? So all this data, if I combine and put a model, the next time when you run, or there is a next time there's a code check-in that would happen, I would exactly tell you what are the tests that you need to run. And looking at the logs, production logs, if I correlate with my logs that I have, that's running in my test environment, I can basically compare and tell you that which are the scenarios that I have not executed and that the users have executed, right? So that is the intelligence that I can bring into my automation, and that intelligence would start taking that automation pie with the logic. So this is the basic scenario that I wanted to tell you. There are many more.
Okay. Thank you. There's one from Chandra. He asked, we have so much of stuff to learn. How to filter all of that? And like, secondly, it started with manual, then automation, and how should one know things to stand out, and what should one focus more on?
Okay. There are too many questions in one question, I would say. But I will try to answer that to my best of my ability. First of all, there is a lot of content, I agree. Okay. In order to be an all-rounder QA, and somebody told me this, okay, I've never used to believe this, okay. So I used to always believe that you should know everything, but you should master one, right? But in this 15 years, I've seen that you should not master everything, but you should know everything, okay, in order to become an all-rounder. So when you be QA, and let's assume that you're in automation, okay, and you know UI, then you go and learn API, because both are functionally driven, right? Then you can use the same API and try to see if you can, run it for performance. That is how you would know, and then you can put probes, monitor, and understand, how your application is behaving. So you're reusing the APIs, and you are basically um, trying to put traffic onto your product. And then, now and then everybody do this. Okay, what they do is that they go to the browser and they go to the network tab and try to see, right? And then you get some sensitive data right there. So you say that, okay, I ran some tests, and it end up bringing out security vulnerabilities. So that's how start understanding how you can move to security, all that stuff. Okay, and please, Bridges, there's no full stack QA. Okay, so I just hate that word. Come on. So I would say that people would have that. People would say that, but you try to see what all, how you would help the product, right? So you do functional, you do performance, you see the network tab. You also can look for security vulnerabilities. There's so much to learn. How to filter it? It is difficult to filter. I would say that you look into content from 3-4 sources, and then compare the quality of the content and see if the problem statement that you have is being addressed by these 4 contents, or only one content, or like that. So that's how I'll filter. So let's assume that I want to learn Cypress. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go on the internet and say that how I would like to learn Cypress. Okay, and Cypress for beginners. So what would happen is that there are plenty of sites that would come. So I'll go on each of the sites, right? So that is how we Google, right? So and then I'll see that, okay, which is matching, who is talking about basics, who is talking about architecture, who is talking about what. Okay, and then I filter, and see, if I want to automate to Cypress, these are the things that I should know. But you should know the basics. Okay, so did I answer your question? Like, did I cover everything, Jocelyn?
Yeah, I think we have a couple of others as well. So hopefully, if that's not covered, maybe if you have time, we can open it up for the floor. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. This one from Rishi. He says how to handle or understand the existing framework as you're assigned newly to a project.
Awesome. So the first thing that somebody told me is that if you want to understand how a program runs, run it in debug mode. Okay. So always run. Okay. So first of all, do not try to run all the tests. Okay. First, run the happy path. Take one test case. See how the flow is happening in your code. So probably there will be a master script. That master script would take you to a library. That library can take you to a configuration. Okay, there are so many, so try to map that path. That if I would run this particular test, this go via this. Like for an example, I'll give one more example. Let's assume that we are writing a test in test and somebody ran an XML, right? So first of all, you should know what is ng, how it works, and then obviously we write their classes and methods. So you would see that that class get called. So you put a debug point and see that, okay, how is the flow of the programs, okay, and then do that frequent times. Then do it for the next test case. Do it for the next test case. You would understand the flow. Once you understand the flow, then you see that how your code is structured. For an example, what is the folder structure? Whether you have used injections, where you have used inheritance, okay, where you have overridden certain things. So try using, if it's an oops based framework, then try to understand what's getting inherited by what, and then try to understand that call. That's how you would basically able to understand how the things may work. That's what I would do.
So Brijesh has one question. How does one go past the mindset of automating manual test cases?
Can you please repeat that?
How does one go past the mindset of automating manual test cases? So,
okay,
yeah, just
that's a difficult
automating.
question. And See, I'll tell you the generic mindset uh, of the industry is to automate manual test case. Why is that so? I'll give you a reason also. Everybody wants to increase the coverage. Okay. So what they believe is that if I write test cases and I automate them, my automation coverage becomes more. Okay. And then what I will do is that, nobody is talking about traceability. Okay. Believe me, nobody does traceability today. One has to basically, if they want to move out of the mindset, they have to bring traceability in their product. And then if they want to automate, they need to understand which case or scenario and which requirement are they automating. Actually, you're automating a requirement, not a case. Okay, but you need to understand which all cases make that requirement, or which all cases makes a scenario, which all scenarios makes that requirement, right? So you need to have that traceability in your product first. So what I do generally with all my teams is that you list down all the features of the product, then list down all the scenarios that you have written for the product, map them, then put all the automation that you have in place, map with the scenarios. Okay. And then we will see what's the coverage, where have we missed, how many test cases more needs to be written, how many scenarios more needs to be created, and all that stuff. I hope I answered that question, but this is how probably you would move out.
Thank you. There's one from Steven. He asked how much data structure and algorithm knowledge is needed for becoming, automation ready.
Okay, good question. It all depends upon who is sitting on the other side. Okay, I would say who is taking your interview. Okay, and I cannot take specific names, but I have been interviewed heavily by developers, and when developers take the interview, uh, when developers take their interview, they want you to know everything about the DS and algo. Okay, but when a tester would take, he will have basic knowledge, right? I would suggest that you should know all the data structure pieces, because that's very important for you to understand that how you would handle that data that's flowing around in your automation. Okay, algos and all would come into play when you have a problem to solve, but if you just want to do just automation, you a good knowledge of DS can also help you. Like for an example, where to use a collection, what type of collection it would be, right? Whether I would like to use a hash set here, or a hash map here, or a map here. Okay, all that. So if you know these pieces, you will be able to handle the data, right? But let's take an example, you're doing a data science project, data science testing or data engineering testing. Then you would need an algo, because you would be working with larger set of data, which is what you are doing right now is comparatively very heavy. Then you would need an algo, then you would need technology, and that's how it would be. I hope I answered your question.
Awesome. There's one from Path, how to understand the architecture of the existing framework for future enhancement perspective. So we normally get like legacy frameworks, and what can we do in terms of enhancement to those frameworks?
Great. First of all, we need to see, and this is a common problem that I've seen, that any organization that you go, there are 4 teams, there are 4 frameworks, all written in different technologies, all written with different tools. And why is that so? Because I want to learn, so I added one framework. Okay, that's a mindset that people would have. Okay, but when you create a framework, and if anybody is teaching about framework also, okay, try ask them a couple of questions. How this framework, if that's a UI framework, can I accommodate API in it? Can I put data engineering in it? How can I scale? So that is one thing that you need to see, whether how you can scale it. Second, let's assume that that's an independent framework. There are other frameworks in the organization. Everybody loves to run end to end. Okay, it's not about end to end about your product, but it's an end to end process. And then you will need to see that, how your product, how your framework is getting integrated with other frameworks. How would you do that? Okay, it's about one payment system talking to other payment system, different technologies, they talk to each other. The same concept that we need to apply here. The third thing that you should do is that, um, if a new person is coming, and I've seen this as a challenge, that if a new person is coming, he would never have an idea of what the heck you guys have written, right? So make it more simplified for somebody who is coming and would want to use it. The final thing which I would say, and there are many more things, but the final thing is that always see this, that the framework that you are writing, or there's a legacy framework, how you can enhance it so that your users can also use the framework. Because obviously there are different cycles of of testing that would have, and one of that is UAT, driven by UAT, business people. You want them to also utilize, right? It is not about you just write the framework and you are happy with it. You have to distribute it to others to see how they can use the framework, or they can run your pack. So it is that, should be simple. So these are 5-6 things on which you can assess the maturity of your framework, and then see where it falls, and then you can do it. And if you have still more questions, you can connect and I'll answer that.
Awesome, awesome. We are at almost the end of the hour, so probably the last question. And then if people have more questions, definitely Soumya is happy to answer them on his LinkedIn channel. So yeah, so the last final thing from you, Soumya, and there's a question as well from Stephen on this, right? So when you bring, how can you bring value to an engineer team once you're an automation engineer? There is a lot of expectation from the management to learn DevOps and bring that onto the table, right? So uh, what is your final tip or the go away tip for everyone here and our attendees here?
Got it. So I would answer this way. Okay, so you need to see one thing, which is quite important, and and everybody would tell you the same thing, is that how efficiently you are doing your job, so that your developers can write the code quickly. Okay, and that is what the concept and shift left concept and all that stuff would be. So the first thing is that, how you are writing the code to basically make sure that the developers are, whether they're happy, how they are writing the code, and whether the code is getting tested efficiently and quickly, because everybody wants quicker feedback, right? So they don't want that your test should run for 36 hours. They want your test to run and finish it probably in 15 minutes, right? So what you should do is that, as an automation tester, and see how you can run your automation faster each time and optimize it. Okay, and shift left. When I say shift left, you basically help your developers to test their code faster. Okay, and bring in more efficiency. That's where the concept of code coverage, code quality would come into play, where a tester should also know how to put all those to bring efficiency into the pipeline. So that's the takeaway I would say, that people should focus on, that how to test your code faster and make your pipeline efficient. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Thank you so much, Soumya. I think we can go on and on. The topic is really very interesting, and I can see the excitement everyone here has on the chat box and questions popping in. Definitely, we'll have a version 2 as well. I know there's a lot
Yeah,
of questions
yeah.
here.
I'm just stopping there. There's an interesting question. I'll just take 1 minute, Jaspreet.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Go
I
ahead,
would
go
say
ahead.
we should request the developer to have a stable version till we finish our testing or ask. Fantastic. I will give you one quick statement here which you can apply, and I would not say that you bring nightmare to the developers. You need to help them. Okay, so don't fight with them. But what you should do here is that, and I agree with Stephen here, that there is nothing called a stable environment. Okay, I push my test in such a way that my test environment comes down. So that's not stable, right? So there is no stable environment. So what you should do is make a pack, smoke pack, that as and when they will make a pull request, that code would test the stability and how well it is behaving, right, before it actually goes and deploy. Okay, you getting my point? So put that pack in place and just rest in peace. Okay, and that code would do the job.
Awesome advice. Awesome advice. So thank you everyone. And thanks Soumya. I think it was a pleasure having you here and helped so many of us. It was really wonderful. And thanks everyone for all the love that you gave us. Super excited. And yes, of course, we'll definitely have Soumya in soon again for more insights. You can connect with him. I put his LinkedIn and Twitter handles there. Very helpful, Soumya. So you can just go ahead and ask him. He's happy to help, a good mentor as well. So don't miss that chance. So thank you everyone. Thanks for being there. And thanks for giving this Saturday for us. Yes.
Yeah, it's for everyone actually, Josly, whoever has been here in this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And all the people joining from the US, UK, thanks as well. I know it's pretty early in the US, but yes, we couldn't cater to all the time zones. So thanks for accommodating and thanks for being there.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.